Welcome back, everyone, to another great episode of Man Cinema Reviews. It is your lovely host, Peter Man. What's up, y'all? I know I always say that's another great episode, another exciting episode to start off in the introduction, but seriously, this is another roundup format. Tends to be my favorite format for this channel. I got 4 new film releases in the month of February, so this is going to be a February Roundup Film review. Some that I've caught, most that I've caught at home. I've only seen the first one in theaters, and that is Jackass Forever. The boys are back in town. We also got the Amazon Prime I Want You Back rom-com. We got the latest from Steven Soderbergh, and that is Zoe Kravitz in Kimi, which is presented on HBO Max. And lastly, we're going to be talking about the Netflix acquired Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yep, it's another installment. I think it's the 8th installment, and we really needed another one, didn't we, folks? So that's what I got planned for you on this episode of Man Cinema Reviews. Go ahead, press like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell notifying you of any reviews posted to the channel. Thank you very much for choosing Man Cinema Reviews. Been gone for a minute. I missed all my subscribers, but I'm back and better than ever. First film we got for you today is Jackass Forever. Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, Wee Man, the whole crew is back, excluding a member, but we're not going to get into that. We also have some new faces. We have Jasper, formerly of Odd Future fame. We have some cameos from, speaking of Odd Future, Tyler the Creator. Tony Hawk makes an appearance here. And this film is exactly what is promised. It's just the stunts and comedy that you've come to be accustomed to by these guys, and they are the best in the business. I know that folks my age, we grew up on Jackass on MTV. It's the thing that you hid from your folks. You usually watched it late at night. But growing up watching these films and seeing these guys blossom, mature almost, if we can call it that, but definitely Johnny Knoxville is the leader of the pack. He's gone on to do things in film. He's a comedian in his own right, and he definitely never forgot where he came from. He is deeply rooted with all of his friends, making sure that he highlights every and all aspects, all facets of his work behind the camera, in front of the camera, as a stuntman. Just these amateur stunts that were dangerous, that were brazen, that were bold and in your face. The last film was in 3D nearly 10 years ago, and that was when 3D was in. This film just sees them at their seasoned age. And what I liked about this film is that it was almost like a love letter thus far. You've seen where these men have grown on to. They had each had their own spotlight, whether it was on television or they branched off and did other television series. But they always seem to come back and cultivate that wild style stunts and in-your-face gross out antics, and this film does not let up. Even at their seasoned age, these guys go for the jugular. A lot of male frontal nudity. These guys do not shy away from that. A lot of sperm and ejaculation. A lot of stuff that they do physically with their bodies. But I winced at every single frame of this. Just when I thought I seen it all, these guys just, again, they don't hold any stops, and they go for the jugular. It's great to see the camaraderie with these guys as well. It doesn't feel forced, it feels natural. It's great to see the progression of Steve-O getting sober. There were dark days that plagued him in the past, but it's great to see him back with these guys, back with his brothers in arms. And it's a great send-off if they choose to end it here. Jeff Tremaine is the director, also the founding member of Jackass. So it's great to see just the consistency of these guys, and great to see new faces, like I said, Jasper and Tyler and Tony Hawk, and just all these guys that want to contribute to this family and build upon what we come to love about these guys. Again, these gross out antics don't let up, and you wish that they had more to offer. I think the more and more the film goes on, it does get tiresome. How many penises can you see? I mean, it's just when you see one, you've seen them all, and it's gross to see what they do to their bodies, what they go for with laughs. But again, it's not to be taken seriously. You know what these guys are capable of, and they just want to up the ante. They want to up the stakes each and every time they make one of these films. Again, you're here for the camaraderie, and you're not expecting anything much above that, but you do get wrapped up in the camaraderie and what these guys have grown up together on television, on film. It's great just to see them come back and just bring it to their fans. And there are a lot of laughs to be had. Just because I winced throughout the whole film doesn't mean I didn't laugh out loud. There was definitely side-splitting scenes, and I'm just glad that these guys are back and doing it bigger and better than ever, and I will give Jackass Forever 4 stars. Going on to the next film we got is Amazon Prime, just in time for Valentine's Day. They roll out with I Want You Back. This is starring Jenny Slate and Charlie Day. I believe it's Emma and Peter, these people that actually work together in the same building, but they do not know each other, get dumped on the same weekend, and they come to find this out about each other. Then they get some scheme into getting their significant others back, even though both have moved on and pursued other relationships. So we got, Scott Eastwood in here, as well as Gina Rodriguez. These 4 main leads, you get to see the antics of having Jenny Slate and Charlie Day vie for their exes. However, they've gone on and are happy elsewhere. So they have this chemistry that starts blossoming, and before you know it, there comes a fork in the road where they may or may not end up together, where one may like the other more than the other, or one is trying to find out why they still have feelings, but they are doubting whether they want to go back to their significant other. So it's great to see that Jenny Slate and Charlie Day have that chemistry, and I think that's what the film's biggest highlight is. It's just the natural chemistry between these two actors. However, a lot of the film seems to be trying too hard for its comedy. There's a lot of one-liners, and just I feel like a lot of it is punch up. It's just a lot of build up to certain jokes, and some of the jokes land, a lot of times they don't, and the film seems like it goes on and on too long. I feel like the film runs its course within the third act, and it doesn't know how to quite end. I started liking this film quite a bit in the start of the film. I thought a lot of laughs felt earned. I felt the chemistry between Charlie Day and Jenny Slate were natural. However, I did see it growing tiresome, and just what they're trying to do in the third act, there's 3 instances on how the film could have ended, and yet it keeps going. If you do like the chemistry between Charlie Day and Jenny Slate, that's the only thing that felt earned. A lot of it just feels like it's trying too hard to be very flat out hilarious, and yet it doesn't quite stick to the landing. So this film, there's a lot to like, but it just gets really messy towards the end, and definitely with the third act. And the way it wraps up just feels like it's forced and doesn't really come to a clear solution. In fact, you root for these two to end up together, and the way they conclude, it just doesn't feel like you were satisfied with the way the film turns out. So with I Want You Back, I did start to like this film, but then I noticed its blemishes toward the end of the film, and I just wished it would end within the third act. So with that, I did find it commendable in some scenes, but as a whole, I didn't see that it was all that great. This film, I Want You Back, is 2.5 stars. Going on to HBO Max's presented Kimi. Now this is starring Zoe Kravitz, directed by the great Steven Soderbergh, who had a great film, No Sudden Move, just released last year. He's already releasing this film in 2022, beginning February. And it's great because it's also from a seasoned screenwriter, David Koepp, most known for his work with Brian De Palma. So with Steven Soderbergh at the helm of directing, you have a great, tight, taut David Koepp screenplay. This is set within the coronavirus pandemic. You have the main character working for this tech company. It's almost like a Alexa named Kimi. It's a device. She works for this company. She basically reports basic responses to people from the product, from the console itself. Basically, she's just a programmer of sorts for this tech company, but then she hears what sounds to her to be a sexual assault, and she's trying to report it, trying to go to the company, and yet she doesn't know who to trust, feels like someone's after her, and she is a person that it has a lot of anxiety, especially it is intensified within the coronavirus pandemic. She is agoraphobic, I think that's what it is, someone that is scared to go outside, go on public transit. So in order to report what she heard and go to the company, she has to go to the corporate offices in Seattle, which she is based out, yet she doesn't want to leave her apartment. So this setup is beautiful. It's like Rear Window meets Blowout. I happen to think that this is this generation's Blowout. I did see Brian De Palma's John Travolta starring film Blowout, and I felt a lot of similarities between this and Kimi. I do like that for this film. David Koepp, like I said, keeps it tight and taut with a screenplay. I think that the thrills are well earned. I think the action is well paced. I think Zoe Kravitz is ready to have a great year, starring in The Batman this year as Selena Kyle. And with Kimi, this is also a great character study. The film usually just stays with her. It's a limited cast, so the film is basically on her shoulders, and she helms it beautifully. I think that her character is very grounded. She plays with the anxiety very, very perfectly. As an audience, you just feel the anxiety that she has throughout the film. So with that, I will give Kimi a recommendable 4 stars. I really like this, and it's currently streaming on HBO Max. Lastly, to my chagrin, is the latest from Netflix, and this is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Now, this is produced by Fede Alvarez, who did wonders with the Evil Dead series. He remade that film. It was, I believe, his directorial debut. And he's just the producer for this film. This is a first-time director. I believe his first-time screenwriter as well. And you could tell, I feel like no one was really asking for an updated Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and especially not one being a spiritual sequel to the very original Tobe Hooper classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I thought that this was terrible from the jump. With the character of Leatherface, This film is about modern day influencers going to a small ghost town in rural Texas called Harlow, and trying to breathe life into this community, basically gentrifying this section of rural Texas. Who would have thought that influencers coming to a ghost town would be a good idea? Especially when you go to an orphanage where the very titular character lives, Leatherface. I know that they don't know that he inhabits this, but I think once they sense that they're not welcome, they should have just been out from the jump. In fact, they had many chances to be out. They have a bus that they could have easily left. There was an encounter with an old woman that headed the orphanage that goes awry. She is hospitalized, and one of them has to go into the medic or follow the police. Why was that the case? I don't know. The film is completely idiotic, and you just don't mess with the original. I really didn't like this latest Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and by the end of the film, I just was wishing to end, and so I can watch the classic film, which I will after I give you my review of a half a star for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. So that is my February release roundup. Some good, some bad. Hopefully we have a better year going forward. I am so hyped for the Batman. I know I got a couple more films before that film releases, but I do got my tickets for the Batman. And let me know if you have your early tickets for the Batman or what you're looking forward to in 2022. Go ahead and leave a comment, press like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.